Hi everyone, this is Kalyan Kumar this side and welcome back to Chemistry Universe. We are doing the chemical properties of aldehydes and ketones and this is video number 15 in that series and this is called benzoin condensation. Now in this particular part, we'll be doing a unique reaction which takes place only with aromatic aldehydes. So the important part to understand is that only aromatic aldehydes are going to give you this product which we generically called as benzoin. Now, basically other aldehydes are not going to react like this. And we can get a benzoin type product for other aldehydes using another reaction which we'll study later, which we would then call it as acetylene condensation. So, but that is for the later part. So right now we will be looking at benzoin condensation and the most interesting part about this is that you can get the mechanism on your own if you think a little bit hard. If you think about what the product is, one would be able to sort of get the hang of the mechanism on your own, and that's what we're going to look at. So let's get on with the video. All right, so let's look at benzoin condensation. And as I said in the beginning, when an aromatic aldehyde is treated with alcoholic KCN, the product is not a cyanohydrin, but an alpha hydroxy aromatic ketone called benzoin. Now, traditionally, what you've seen is you've seen an aldehyde, and we have done this reaction of aldehyde reacting with HCN in the presence of a mild acid, where the CN got attached to this carbon and the H got attached to this O, and you would get this product which we call as the cyanohydrin. But you're not going to get that in benzaldehyde. This reaction, I mean with HCN of course, but not with alcoholic KCN. So basically you have to have an aromatic aldehyde. That is very important. And you'll understand why soon. And what are we reacting it with? Alcoholic KCN, all right? So we have alcoholic KCN, and the product, as I said, is not a cyanohydrin but an alpha hydroxy aromatic ketone. Well, this is what it is. If this is the principal functional group, then this is the alpha carbon. Can you see it's an alpha hydroxy, and this fellow is an aromatic ketone. So this is what you get when you treat an aromatic aldehyde with alcoholic KCN. All right, so let's see the mechanism, and I'll try to make sure that you also can get a hang of it, an idea about the mechanism. So what is the first thing do you think will happen? I have benzaldehyde, and KCN, obviously K plus is just for the salt's sake. So you have CN minus, right? Basically the reaction is going to be between these two. What do you expect to happen here? And I think that's pretty simple. The C of the CN minus is going to attack the carbonyl carbon of the aldehyde, right? So this is going to attack this carbon and this pi bond is going to shift and you're going to get this. Now, if you look at the product, there are two benzaldehydes which have been reacting. Otherwise, you can't get two aromatic rings. So obviously, there is another benzaldehyde which is going to react. Now, the problem, of course, is I got a minus on O. In the product, if the O had been attached to C, I would not have any problem in doing this. But no, that's not what happens. What happens is that you are going to get the carbon attached, this carbon attached to the carbon. The only way this carbon can attach to this carbon, because remember this is C double bond O, right? It's the electrophilic site. So if this carbon somehow got a negative charge, this could attack this carbon, right? The electrophilic carbon. But how do I do that? How do I get the negative charge on carbon? Well, the only way I can get it is, what do you think will happen? Just guess. I know it could be the worst possible guess you can think of, but try and do that. Well, there is going to be an intramolecular proton exchange. And what will happen is, you'll get this. Proton is going from here to here. Now, the moment I show you this step, you're going to go crazy. You're going to say, how the hell is the minus on carbon more stable than minus on O? Number one. It is always the H of O which is more acidic than the H of C. So if there were a C minus and this OH were to give the proton to that, made more sense. Now this is my answer to it. So what you're basically saying is that proton exchanges, remember, are always equilibrium reactions, right? So in an equilibrium reaction, it is possible that in one direction the reaction can go more, and in the other direction the reaction go less. Remember, equilibrium actually means the rate is equal. But the fact of the matter is that the A in equilibrium with B, it's possible that A could be much higher in content than B. Okay? But that does not mean that A cannot give B. You yourself are saying equilibrium reaction. And all intramolecular proton exchanges are equilibrium reactions. So what I'm basically saying is, I'm not saying that the H on carbon is more acidic than the H on O. No. What I am saying is it not possible that this H can migrate to O? It can migrate to a very small extent, doesn't matter. But can it not do that? I mean, after all, that is an equilibrium reaction. Yes, I get that the H migrating from O to C is more. The backward reaction is more. But doesn't mean the forward reaction won't happen. Especially if the forward reactions intermediate can give further more products, and eventually an irreversible reaction will pull the entire reaction forward. So that is the key takeaway from this. All right, so we got our favorite, C minus on carbon. Now this is pretty simple. What do you think will happen when it reacts with the next benzaldehyde? Obviously, this C minus is going to attack the carbon. Pi bond shift is going to go O to O, and you're going to get something like this. I wish this were the product, okay? But look at the product here. You don't have a CN, and the minus is here. The funny part is, if this had the CN instead of H, if it had the CN, all I had to do was make this go back and make the CN go out. But the CN is here. But isn't it possible for this O to get the minus? Is there any way we can do that? Obviously, we can do that. And how do we do that? We do another intramolecular proton exchange. The H from this O migrates to this O. And now it's pretty simple. The O minus comes out, CN leaves, and you got this. Of course, I flipped this product. Basically, they're same. I've just made the OH on the right and the ketone on the left. So can you see, you could have gotten this mechanism on your own if you had just looked at the product and tried to figure out a way to do that. Yeah, sometimes we might end up doing steps which are probably improbable or less likely. But if one of the reactions is an irreversible reaction, which of course you would not know in the beginning, but it is, that would help us get the product despite getting an intermediate which is improbable. And now it will also answer the question, why do we need aromatic aldehyde only? Because can you understand, the C minus is going to be stabilized by the resonance with a benzene ring? If this were any other alkyl group, it will in fact make it even less stable. And therefore, you need something to stabilize the C minus, despite the fact that this O minus is going to be always more stable. But to stabilize the C minus, somehow you need a benzene ring. Which also gives you the fact that if there was a benzene ring with a withdrawing group, it would have stabilized it better. Meaning, if I were to start with a para-nitro or an ortho-nitro benzaldehyde, that would have reacted faster than this. Because this is the RDS, this MPE, this intramolecular proton exchange is the RDS. This is the clue that you get of the nature of the product formed. All right. So that is as far as the mechanism is concerned. Let's move on. And obviously, when two different aromatic aldehydes are used and we are required to make a mixed benzoin, then we will make the carbon ion in that aromatic aldehyde which will stabilize it. The one which has withdrawing groups or does not have releasing groups. Makes perfect sense. Because remember, first of all, we tend never to use two different benzaldehydes, because what's the point? You're going to get you're going to get three products, rather four. You know, A mixing with A, B mixing with B, A and B mixing, in which in A you have the CN minus attacking, then you have CN minus attacking the B. So you're going to get four products. What's the point in having that? So we will never try to do a reaction where you can get multiple products, for the simple reason that you will not get any of them in good yield. But having said that, suppose you're asked a question in the exam, you have two different benzaldehydes and you have to make a mixed product. So what would be the best? Of course, if the options involve self also, then of course prefer that, because any withdrawing group would not only enable the CN minus to attack the carbonyl carbon, will also help the carbanion to form. But ultimately, the carbanion is getting formed on the carbon where the CN is attacking. So you also have to understand that the carbon on which the CN is attacking is eventually becoming double bond O. You also have to understand that it is that carbon where the CN is attacking which is becoming the carbanion. But if you are required to make a mixed product, then make sure that the CN attacks the benzene ring with a withdrawing group, or the benzene ring without the releasing group, or with a lesser releasing group. So let's take two examples. And you have benzaldehyde with para-methyl benzaldehyde. Now I want you to make the product on your own and then check this out. It's pretty simple. The carbanion will be more stable in the benzaldehyde rather than the para-methyl. It's a releasing group. So this becomes a carbanion, this will become the ketone, and this is what you will get. And the next one has the nitro. Of course, I would have preferred the option where both are nitro, because this nitro will help the CN minus also to attack more. But in the case of mixed, this is the one where the carbanion will be formed more easily. This is the one that will become the ketone. So you're going to get something like this. And that is the end of benzoin condensation. So I hope this video helped you in understanding benzoin condensation. So in all reactions, wherever mechanism is about to be given, pause the video, try to make the mechanism on your own, see if it fits with the actual mechanism, so that you can get a hang of those mechanisms, because the mechanisms are important not simply because you're going to be asked what the mechanism is, but also because that mechanism will help you make products in those reactions which you've never seen before. So mechanism is the one that helps you there. So anyway, so I hope this video did help you. And if you have any suggestions, any comments that you want to make, do that in the comment section below. With that, this is Kalyan Kumar signing off. Have a great and wonderful day. And thank you for watching this.